let's go to Matt again. Matt, we cut you off, sir.
That's all right. I can spotlight myself. All right, I use a $9.25 honing card for I got off of Amazon. I think it's 400 and 1,000. I think that's what it is. I posted it in our chats before. I like this so much. I've got 3 of them now. I keep one in my traveling bucket, and I keep one in another place. And this one sits in top in here in this bucket on top of my lathe. I do not have CBN wheel. I have a $35 Harbor Freight grinder that I bought 15 years ago to sharpen, and I have a $95 wheel on my $35 grinder that I also bought that is probably no longer 6 inches in diameter. It's a white aluminum oxide wheel that works just fine. So, but the grinder will take off, if I work at it, I can really take metal off the tool, and I don't want to do that unless I have to. So I do a lot of honing. I do regularly sharpen my tools, just not every day. I sharpen them with the card. So let me switch over to this. I'm having an issue with my other cameras here. So I'm going to have to I'm using this tool to do it. I'm using Zoom to do it. So let me figure out where it is. I think it's this one. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I basically use 4 or 5 tools. I use a standard parting tool. Okay, I use a standard skew. I use my 5/8 outer diameter bowl gouge, and I use a spindle gouge that I've retooled into a detail gouge. So the way I do it, and I don't know if this is right. I use the fine side, and I start on the bevel. So let me shift it like that. I keep the pressure on the heel of the bevel here, and I sharpen like that, and I try to do an even amount on both sides. So it doesn't matter which tool you're doing, whether it's the parting tool or the skew, you're always, or at least the way I do it, is I'm on the back side of the bevel, and I roll it. That's where I keep the pressure. Actually, choke up on it. So, and I might, like the skew here, my skew is kind of rounded. I don't know if y'all can see that. So I kind of roll it like that when I do it. Let me see how to do it. Do it this way. So, and you can move in circles. And the way you can tell what you're doing is you look at, I don't know if you all can see this, it's not showing up there very well, but I will have a shiny spot down here and a shiny spot up here on the edge where the card is touching things up. And the same is, it's done exactly the same way for the bowl gouge. Is I'm here on, let me see if I can show this. Okay, I'm here, I'm writing this part and rolling it to the edge. So, and I will, let me do it this way. This is how I do it. So, and then I'll roll the tool into the card like that, making sure I get the edge, and then I'll start go on the other side, and I start back here like that.
Now,
and
Matt,
yes,
Matt,
sir.
you had that up very close to the camera, but when you're doing it yourself, you have it half an arm's length away from you, where you can see the stone and the tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying not to screw up my tools while I'm doing this, but and realistically on this tool is I can, let me see if I can show this, is I can take the card and run it all the way down like this, as long as I'm riding on both. What I don't want to do is I don't want to ride just on the edge. I always want to make sure that I'm riding on the bottom of the bevel, and the pressure is on the bottom of the bevel, because I don't want to get up on the edge. I don't want to get up on the edge, because then I'll change the edge, and I don't want to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you also change the way the edge cuts if you overcup the top. Yep. You want a straight, you want it like a pocket knife, straight edge.
Yep, and I'm not cranking on it. I'm doing it very gently. you know, I mean, this is the only tool I haven't really shown yet, but I basically, you know, get it like this and I roll the tool into it like that. And then I roll it the other way and I'm watching what I'm doing. And if it comes off, I don't want it to come off on the edge. Oops, I don't want it to come off on the edge side. I don't want to come off this way. I want it to come off this way. So I'm always conscious of that too. So, and that's pretty much how I do it. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's how I do it. And I get a good edge and it keeps me going.
If it works for you, that's the important part. I mentioned the thing about the arm's length away because I've been with folks that want to show you how they're going to sharpen the skew, and they put the block down on a table and then they rock their whole body and their arms to do it. Most of us a little bit older than that. Our parts don't move that fluid. And I'm not talking about you, John Brown. It's all of us have that little problem, but when you put it up to eye level, when it's right there where you can see what that stone is doing right in front of you, you will get a better performance out of it. And I agree that you don't put this thing on a grinder every time. I mean, that's wasting steel.
And I mean, I can put an edge on this. You know, I can put an edge on all my tools in just a few seconds, and I'm good to go. Or all the ones that I'm using. And you know, I typically do that. Like when I'm done for the day, I will go through and put an edge on my tools again. I often do it in the middle of the day if I'm turning a lot, or if I'm turning something like oak, which I was doing earlier today. So, you know, it's quick, it's not very expensive, and you get your edge back. So.
Yeah. Well, I showed when I was sharpening that gouge, a resharpening. I got to say resharpening. One pass, and that's a very fine CBN wheel. I wish I had a finer one, but one pass is all it took because I didn't want to throw a lot of steel on the floor. I didn't have to remove a lot of steel to reshape the thing. I'm using the jig to save that problem or that incidents. And John Brown said, buffing or flapping off that wheel, and Trey agreed with him. Yes. I turned with somebody at their house one day and I couldn't figure out what the heck the rig was. It was on his headstock end, and the headstock on that lathe was tapered #2 Morse taper, and he had an insert with a bolt and a washer on it. That's where his pad was mounted, and it was there all the time. And he'd make a pass with the skew, and then he'd go over and just on the bottom, because you can't do it on the top, on the bottom, touch that skew and just buff it up, just polish it off. And I mean, he was making slices. I don't know why he wanted me to be over there. He was making slices that look like ribbons coming off of anything he cut, because he just figured out how the tool cut. Very, very. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you sharing that with